What's up YouTube? It's Philo here. Today I'm going to be continuing my stories about video games that I played when I was younger and some of the experiences that I had with friends. Today's video is something that I really wanted to talk about because it was a very, very serious time for me when I was 13 years old. I already talked about how I got the GameCube right away at launch and how a lot of my friends actually ended up having the GameCube over the PS2 and Xbox. It just turned out that way. There was, of course, a lot of games that we played competitively with the GameCube. I owned Mario Party 4 and 5, of course. And if you're gonna guess a GameCube game that I'm talking about based on the title of this video, you might say Super Smash Bros. Melee. We definitely played this game quite a bit. While it was a very competitive game, except for me because I always won with Mr. Game & Watch. When the game was over, we could go back to being friends and everything was just fine. So this is not the game that I'm gonna be talking about today. The GameCube game I'm going to talk about today really ruined some friendships at the time. This game is none other than Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. If you've never played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle before, you might be thinking, how is this game competitive at all? It's really more of a single-player game. There's not as many multiplayer elements in this as something like Super Smash Bros. Melee. But if you have played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle before, you might know where I'm going with this. So while the main game of this is co-op, that wasn't really the part of the game that caused any issues with friends. The part of the game I'm going to be talking about today is the Chao Garden. The Chao Garden is almost like a mini-game integrated into Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, but it really adds quite a bit of replayability, I think, and it definitely contributed to some competition between my friends and I. So the basic idea of the Chao Garden, if you've never played this game before, you can breed and train these little creatures called Chao to compete against each other in little mini-games. It seems at first that there might not be that much to it, but I remember it being fairly in-depth. The Chao are ranked in several different categories, from S to, I believe, D. So you'd want to have Chao that rank much higher, and they can compete and win races against your friends. I had several friends that had Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and while we enjoyed the main game, we started to take this Chao Garden aspect of it a little too seriously. I remember the first time I actually bred a Chao that had an S ranking, and I thought, wow, I wonder how far I can take this. I almost took a mad science type of feel to it where I just constantly would breed and train different Chao and start giving them names just as if they're like, you know, experiment number 1 and such like that. It became kind of twisted after a while. After breeding and training more Chao, I had one that was ranked S in 2 different categories. Of course, this one being superior to all the other ones, I called it Super. I remember gloating to my friends, why don't you come over and see if you can beat my Chao that has 2 S rankings? And they couldn't. They'd lose every time. I remember I had 2 friends that took it very seriously, and I would really mock them after they lost. Ha! You'll never beat Super, I would tell them. This Chao has 2 S's. They left bitter one day, and maybe a week or 2 later, they knocked on my door. What are you doing today, Philo? I'm probably gonna beat your ass again in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, huh? They're like, all right, let's try that. So they brought their memory card down to my GameCube, plugged it in, and they said, all right, we want to try to compete against Super again. All right, fine, I said. So we ended up doing a race, and I remind them, of course, that I've never lost, and they're going to lose again. They said, okay, we'll see what happens. What happened next, YouTube? I could have never expected. Super lost. Super lost. I thought, how? How did this happen? I turned to my friends. I said, Matt, Andy, show me the rankings on this Chao. And they're like, all right. Take a look at this. This Chao, they've been working on this for a while. It had 3 S rankings. How could this be? I said, I'm gonna train more Chao. And they're like, no, this is it. This is the end. We're not gonna play this game anymore. I said, no, I can't go out on a note like this. That was it. Super was the most powerful Chao I ever had, and I was never able to defeat them. We didn't talk for a while after that. I was very angry. And they were kind of angry at me as well because I was very cocky leading up to that. And it made me realize, wow, it's not worth losing friends over Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It was shortly after that I think we all agreed just not to play that game anymore because it did create quite a bit of conflict at the time, especially when you're 13 years old. But now, being that it's almost 20 years later, it might be time for me to breed more Chao so I can finally defeat them. Or I'll just keep playing more Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Anyways, YouTube, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this story, please make sure to give it a like, and we'll see you next time.